Hey, welcome to 1 Minute Film Score, where I make 1 minute of film music based off of a real movie. Today I'm doing the movie Mad Max. Here it is.
I am your Redeemer. It is by my hand you will rise from the ashes of this world.
It's coming. Get ready. Yes. Yes.
All right, let's take a look at it. So this score is the first for me. This is actually, hate to break it to you, but all of the previous 1 minute film scores you've seen were just pieces of music that I had previously made, and then I found movie scenes that would suit them. So I was kind of choosing footage that would fit my music rather than composing from scratch for an image on screen. So this was the first time where I just took a scene and I just hit the mute button as I watched it and just started to try to write a score for it. So because of that, this one is, for some reasons, it's a little bit rough. The main one being, I did not record to a metronome. And that was because I had chosen certain chords that I wanted playing at certain moments. And it was really difficult for me to try to accomplish that while also sticking to the metronome. Because then I would need to increase the tempo, then slow it down, when really I just wanted to watch the scene and then change chords when there was a certain cut or something like that. And I still didn't get it exactly how I wanted it. So because of that, it does kind of have a tempo, but it's not something that you're going to be able to there's the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. No, it's not going to be like that. So maybe that makes it interesting. Maybe that makes it bad. Who knows? But anyway, let's take a look at it. So it starts off with just the low strings here. So yeah, just A, and then it adds this fifth. And what's cool is that in the actual movie, there's some person in the crowd that starts they're doing some kind of kind of humming chant or whatever as they're walking forward, as he's hey, I'm gonna dump the water, blah blah blah. And that person in the crowd actually hits this note E. Kind of humming that, and I thought that was kind of cool. As I was holding down this A, that person in the movie kind of hit that fifth, and so that's why I just kind of added that, because it kind of goes on top of his voice. You can't really notice it once I put the E on top of it, but it's still cool. So then so we just have this subtle bass note intro, and then boom, everything just kind of starts. And obviously I wanted that effect because he just cranks the levers, and then water just falls. And so when making a film score, you think, what's the feeling of this scene, right? And you could look at it from like the big emperor guy's perspective, but I thought it was more fun or interesting to look at it from like the people below, because like these are people where every day that they survive is a victory, because they probably won't survive the next day. You just look at these people, they're taught that water is like a luxury, that they shouldn't even try to indulge in it because it'll make them want it more. Like, so when he turns on these cranks, it's like the essence of life is just dumping onto these people who just have nothing, and they're just dying in the desert. So it's like literally like God unleashing the angels for these people. So it goes very quickly from just like, I am your ruler and blah blah blah, and I will raise you from the ashes, and then just then all of a sudden like the whole mood just changes. So so what we start with is the brass here. I guess before I start, the chord progression that I use, I do quotes because it doesn't actually repeat, but so we start on A minor. It's A minor, G major, F major, E major, which is it's a super common. So then from E major, it goes back up to F, then to C, D minor, C, and then back to E major. And then it kind of goes. And then at the end. So once you've got that, you orchestrate it. So let's hear the brass. So next is our strings. And one thing that you'll notice is like, see how these notes start here and then this one starts here, and you might just think, why didn't you start them all at the same time? You'll see it with the brass also here. This note starts, and then this and that's because when this note starts, that's when the lead dude cranks the hammer down. And once he cranks it, it takes a second for the water to actually start to come out of the pipes, and that's when this second note hits. And the sub bass, that's also when that starts. So it's like he cranks it, you hear that first note, but then when the water actually starts coming out, then all of a sudden like the bass comes in, and then these higher notes come in. So I thought that'd be cool to kind of sync that along with the water. So yeah, you'll. yeah, just very big, full chords. Yeah, we got everything. The low, got those low. So yeah, those are the chords there. We do have a choir part that comes in, and it comes in on which note it comes in. Yeah, this is the choir part here. So these notes at the end that I added, so these are the strings. So you'll hear this last chord kind of hit, and all of a sudden, these notes coming above it. So those notes are not actually in that chord, which is E major. So we land on E major, which naturally leads back into A minor, which is what we started on. So it kind of gives you this feeling that you're kind of waiting for that note to kind of return home, which it does when it hits this A. Like when the water shuts off, you get your like what's it called? Your ending. I can't think of the musical term. Like where it resolves or whatever. But so these notes are we land on E. And I don't know what this scale is. I don't know what it's called, if it has a name. It's something I discovered like when I was a kid. It's just a pattern of notes. It's just D, F, G sharp, and B. And if you look at that on a piano with like the 3 black notes, it creates this like triangle shape. You just go dun 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 and then skip one like a lily pad on a pond. Like you skip a key, then skip a key, and then triangle. So it's like skip, skip, triangle, skip, skip, triangle, and you can do that across the scope. And so it's this very weird thing where it's like not a chord, but it is at the same time. I've always felt that it's like a good way to symbolize a leaf falling from a tree. It's like right. So we're on this E, right? So while that note rings out, I just add that. And it just creates this huge like suspense because this E major chord is already setting your anticipation for that last note. So then when you add these suspenseful notes on top of it, because again, in this scene, this is like heaven raining down on them and he's about to cut them off from it. You can see him like start to go and it's like, and then poof, he cuts it and then boom, then we have our last note and it ends. So you see the strings do it. You see the voices do it here on the last chord. Yeah, it's just a very chaotic thing. So next, we have the staccato strings. And if you remember, I said in the beginning, this was not to a metronome, which made playing staccato notes really difficult. To be honest, I just kind of did what I could for a second. Maybe I could have spent more time on it, but I just kind of blended them into the mix, and I was like, it works. It's fine. So this is them. See, it's like when you play it by itself, it's just like it's like a little kid. Like there's like no way you could like count this because it's just. Anyway. And I just realized there's even a wrong note in there. God, it's like so bad when you listen to it by itself, but yeah, it just kind of adds another element. It's definitely not the main focus of the score. Most people wouldn't consciously notice it, maybe in the very beginning, but in the end here, see, those notes are kind of important. Yeah, so just kind of blended that in. And then last week's got our sub bass. So that's that. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, this was cool. This was the first time that I ever composed something from scratch in order to fit a scene. And I think it turned out pretty good. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.